without further ado, I wanted to introduce Heather and welcome her. So this is our first Talent Champions Council Lounge off-topic series. So not really centered around talent, but centered around something that I think we all struggle with, which is confidence. And we couldn't pick a better person to talk about that than my friend Heather. So let me give you a quick introduction. If you're unfamiliar, Heather is currently on the faculty at Harvard. She has a top 100 podcast that I would highly, highly recommend you listen to. She is a top 40 keynote speaker. She's a CEO. She's the best-selling author of Confidence Creator. And she is an incredibly loyal friend. And to me, she has tons of accolades, and she's had an unbelievable life and an amazing career. But her friendship for me is something that I hold near and dear. So I'm going to read you guys something that I posted. This is back in August. And I think friendships and community are just so important. This is something that I posted in August. I said, real friends answer the call every time without fail. Heather Monahan has been one of those friends. Need a chapter in your first book written? Done. Come to the launch party in New York City? Done. Need the foreword written for your second book? Done. Speak at the launch party in New York City? Done. Need advice? Done. So, and then I went on to say, this morning I sent Heather a text at 9:01 that said, do you have 10 minutes at some point today to talk? This isn't business related. Need some friend-to-friend advice. Thanks, HM. 9:02, my phone rings. Appreciate the friends that you have, the friends that you can count on. And that's what Heather has been for me. So once again, of course, Heather is doing something for me and for all of us in joining us today. So welcome, Heather. We are incredibly excited and grateful to have you.
Oh my gosh, that was the most thoughtful intro I've ever had. So everyone after you is screwed. So thank you, Scott, for your kindness. And truly, you guys already know this because you know Scott. Scott is the most loyal, unbelievable go-giver out there. He gives more than he ever takes. And I'm just grateful that, oh my gosh, we've seen so many faces and names, by the way, here. Hi to everyone who I know in real life. Hi to everyone that I know in fake life and virtual life, because there are a lot of you on there too. Super excited. And for those of you I haven't met before, shout out, super happy that you're here. Scott, just FYI, I don't have a clock now on the way this is set up. So whenever you want me to stop talking, just shout out and tell me, and I will turn over to you in Q&A. Okay, so to Scott's point, I have to, wait, can everybody go on mute for a minute? Just because I know sometimes dogs start going crazy in the background, children in virtual school, hello, right over here, start yelling. Okay, thank you. So Scott brought up something super funny that I have to start with. It was Q4 2019. And Scott had a book launch party happening in New York City at the Guggenheim, going to be a great event. And he said, hey, would you mind coming and speaking at the event? And I said, hang on, let me look at my calendar. And it was 2 days before my first TEDx in Boca Raton, Florida. It took me about 10 seconds to say, yeah, of course, I can make it into New York, do the event, fly out the next morning, get to Boca in time. Let's do it. And on the flight, and he was freaking out. He's like, I can't believe you want to do this. I said, no, you know what? I'm going to see this as an amazing opportunity for me to practice going into the biggest talk of my entire life. And I was so freaking nervous about nailing my first TEDx. It was unreal. Okay, so I'm on the plane and all I'm doing is reading and rereading my quote unquote script for my TEDx. I must have read it 200 times. I closed my eyes. I envisioned myself taking the stage. I did all the things that I know to prep that I could do while I'm sitting on a plane. We go to the event. The event's amazing. It was super exciting. I was so grateful to have the opportunity to be there. Scott introduces me. You did a way better intro today, by the way. And I start talking. I don't really remember what I was talking about because that's irrelevant because wait till what happened. So I start talking, and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of speaking. I'm holding a microphone. Everyone's listening. And boom, someone passes out and knocks over a table in the back of the live event with glass. It was the team there that was staffing the event had lined up this table with all glassware. The woman passed out, hit the table, and glass shattered everywhere. A dog went running, barking. I don't even know how the dog got in there. Was that a prop? I'm not sure what was going on. It was total mayhem. So I thought to myself in that split second, holy cow, this is a shit show. What are you going to do right now? And I thought, make a joke. So everyone has something that they lean on in life, right? Like you have a go-to thing that you do. Does everybody have that? Like, you know, if you're funny or if you're not funny, right? Or you know, if you're empathetic, or you know, if you're like Scott, the kindest person, you know what your thing is. So I said something to the effect of, well, thank you so much for doing that. Whoever you are, I really appreciate you. Everyone tells me to be ready for anything when you walk into your first TEDx, because for sure something will go wrong. And I feel completely prepped and ready now to walk into my TEDx. Thank you. Poor lady, actually, come to find out, I think she was diabetic and passed out. Truly, I thought she was drunk. So, all right, Heather, slow down on the humor. However, it really set me up for something so amazing. So cut to, I head back to Miami. I drive out for my TEDx, which I literally had practiced for. This was such a big day to me, guys. I had practiced for this for months. I live in an apartment in Miami, and all around this apartment right here that you're in, thanks for coming into my home today, there were signs all over my apartment, my big moments in my speech, the moments I wanted to nail, the moments that I knew I really had to be my most powerful. I'm a visual learner, obviously. My son was like, Mom, you're psychotic. You put your speech all like wallpaper around the house. Something's wrong with you. And I said, just listen, let it stay like this for a couple of months and we're all going to be fine. That's how nervous I was. I drive out to the venue. I've got a playlist that I use. If you don't have a playlist that is the theme song of your life, please get one now. This works. This is psychology. Thankfully, I was a psych student, and Pavlov's law shows that when you ring a bell enough times for a dog and then feed the dog will begin to salivate, even if the dog doesn't have food in front of him. I've trained myself as the dog. I play this playlist, and the minute I start hearing it, immediately I go into a zone that I know I'm about to kill it. Wherever, whatever meeting I'm going to, whatever speech I'm about to give, immediately my brain knows you only hear this music when you're about to crush it. You're going to be unbelievable. So I did all my right things. I get to the venue. I'm feeling so powerful, feeling really confident. And I walk in and they say, hey, jump up on stage. We want to do a mic check with you. You're the first speaker. Now, mind you, this is hours before my talk, hours. I was in sweatpants. I had eye patches underneath my eye to get rid of my wrinkles for the day. Yes, I wear those anytime I have a big event. I had my hair wet in a knot. And I thought, okay, this isn't supposed to happen. This is out of left field. I'll jump up there, but okay. So I grabbed a mic and said, mic check, mic check. And they said, no, Heather, do your TED Talk right now. Pump the brakes. That isn't in my routine. Remember, I'm Pavlov's law. I like to have a system in place. So I thought, okay, I've been practicing for months. I'm not ready. I'm super awkward and nervous right now. I don't feel that I have my right outfit on, my shoes. Okay, I'm gonna do it. And I choked. After months of preparing, after countless hours, I worked on this thing more than anything I've ever worked on. I choked and I couldn't remember my talk. And the head of the event started laughing on the microphone and he said, all right, you comedian, that's funny. But I wasn't kidding. I choked. The words didn't come to my mind, to my mouth, nothing. And he said, all right, you can get off now. I heard you say mic check, mic check. That's enough. You didn't have to do the talk. My eyes started filling up with tears. I had to give a talk on that stage in 2 hours, and I had just choked. And I've never choked before. Never, I mean, I've made mistakes, but I've never choked and not had words. I jump off the stage and there's a woman standing there, and she looks at me and she says, wow, you just blew it. You remind me of a friend of mine who played in the NFL, and he got one opportunity to make a kick and he completely blew it, and he never worked in the NFL again. And I smiled at her and I said, really appreciate your help. I'm leaving. And I walked out of the venue, and I wasn't supposed to leave. All the speakers were supposed to stay for another 40 minutes to be lectured or whatever. I left. And the reason why I left is I've learned something super powerful about confidence. You must fire your villains in any situation. And in that moment, that woman right there in front of me had become my villain. And I needed to take massive action to put myself back in charge and redirect my day and situation. I hopped in my car. I went to the hotel where my makeup artist and hairdresser, who are my #1 supporters other than Scott McGregor, they are Team Monahan all the time. They've been through big moments with me, and they could help me remember I'm stronger than this. I don't need to break down right now. And I walked in crying and I said, guys, I'm gonna blow it. I choked, I can't do it. And they said, we know what to do. They hit the playlist. They started talking about every time that I freaked out leading up to this event and the biggest stages that I took and how I didn't believe in myself. They started reminding me, don't forget about your shoes. I can, I will. Don't forget about all the work that you did. Don't forget who you are. And I had done something so smart in that moment. I fired my villain. I surrounded myself with people who believe in me the way that I do believe in myself. I surrounded myself with people who reminded me of what I had within me, of my potential and my past experiences that I conquered like I would conquer this one. I got back into the car, I drove over that venue, and there were advertisers everywhere, sponsors everywhere, and they said, Heather, you need to go back and shake hands with all the sponsors. And I said, no. I said, right now, I need my own space. I need my music, and I want my makeup artist right next to me because she's who I trust and who I love, and I don't want anyone coming in this space. And I asked for what I needed, and I created boundaries. And I said, I am about to go on stage, and I just choked. I need your help. And I asked for help. Back in this stage, it was really a kitchen, and these speakers had never spoken before. Some of them were doing push-ups. All of them were sweating. People were crying, freaking out about getting on stage. And I had to get into this zone in this incredibly awkward, uncomfortable situation. And that's when I remembered Scott and the event in New York. And I thought, thankfully, I faced a moment that I could have never predicted. I showed up as the real me, and I got through it. That's what I'm gonna do right now. I grabbed my lavender. I inhaled lavender like crazy anytime I'm super scared. I reminded myself there is a very fine line between fear and excitement, and I'm gonna choose to be excited right now. I listened to Drake one last time. I closed my eyes and I saw myself going out there and killing it. And then I said one last thing in my mind to myself that day. I said, if you don't walk out there right now, you will never forgive yourself. If you walk out there and blow it, I'm gonna be so proud of you. And that was it. I don't remember anything for the next 90 seconds. Because the amount of work that I had done and the amount of work that I've done with Pavlov's Law leading up to this event, something inside of me took over. I don't remember the first 90 seconds of when I walked out and started that talk. If you watch that 10-minute talk now, you're gonna crack up laughing because you're gonna see I come to literally with a head tilt, and then it's me, I'm back in charge again. But until that moment, that first 60 seconds of that talk, I was on autopilot. It was something far beyond me and the way that I'm speaking with you right now. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity Scott gave me in New York to remind me things are gonna go wrong. I've got to go back and pull those levers that I know will help me recreate confidence within me. And in the end, I've got to trust myself, lower all expectations, and just show up as me. Stepping into that little tiny red circle was one of the hardest mental things I have ever had to do in my career, but I'm so incredibly proud of it. And the high that I had coming off of that stage, I don't have words to put to it. It's like magic. Has anyone ever felt magic before when you've done something really, really big? That magic, that's that moment that you got to say, how do I get back? What other great things can I do? What other fear can I step into? What happened in that moment that made this so special? And for me, it was because I doubted myself so much and I stepped into that fear. I chose to see fear as a green light that means go and go faster. And that built a muscle for me, that built a confidence muscle that I keep building on. And now I look back and I lean on that moment to show me what I am capable of and that I can go bigger and go beyond it. And you can too. So Scott really wanted me to introduce myself and talk a little bit about my background. So I just want to give you a quick backstory. I grew up really poor on food stamps. I was one of 4 kids. My mom was a single mom. I had tremendous amount of shame back then. I hated being poor. I don't know if anyone's been poor, but it sucks when you're a kid because it's totally out of your control. And I used to feel like people would look at me differently. And I let that shame follow me around for a while until I became an adult and started shining a light on it and owning it and putting it to work for me. I really didn't start showing up as the most confident version of myself. So I've learned countless lessons along the way on this crazy road in my professional and personal journey. But that's another big one, is shine a light on shame. Step into it and you can claim it instead of letting it claim you. Scott, I heard you jump in. Are you done with me talking?
You are, no, I mean, my God, I could listen to you all day. So one question that I have for you is, I think people think that confidence is binary. It's like either you have it or you don't have it. And I think confidence, like it ebbs and flows, and you're an extremely confident person, but in that moment, in that TED talk, your confidence was challenged. So COVID's another example. Heather has an incredible speaking business, and obviously COVID wiped that out for her, just literally crushed that speaking business. So, how do you deal with the ebbs and flows of confidence, and how do you try to maintain that confidence over a long period of time?
Well, 2 things that I want to answer there, because I think there's something I can share that could help. One around how to, maintain confidence, and 2 around the pandemic specifically and what to do when everything hits the fan, because that's such a great example for all of us. I know we've all been through such hard times. But as far as keeping your confidence high, that's impossible. Remember how I lowered that expectation on myself when I walked out there? We all need to give ourselves some grace. No one is confident all the time. There's 2 people actually that are. One that's a liar. They're a perfectionist. They're full of shit, right? They're not real. And those are the people to run from. Run from those people. My therapist taught me that when I was 19 years old. I'll never forget. When you see someone showing up as perfect, and of course I'm so confident, run for the hills. That person is not right. They are not okay. They're not in tune with themselves. The other person that might say, oh yeah, I'm super confident, they're living in what's called a familiar zone. They are living in that same job they never left, the same workout that they go to every day, the same coffee shop they get their tea at. They are living in familiar, which to me is death. That is not growth. That is not someone I want to surround myself with. If that's good for them and they feel confident and safe there, good for you. But I wasn't put on this earth to stay in a familiar zone. I've grown more in 3 years since I've been out on my own than I did in 14 at that company I worked for in corporate America that fired me. Here's why. Every day now, I challenge myself to get bigger. Every day, I get less confident. But I remember, okay, I felt like this before. Okay, fine line between fear and excitement. Okay, I know the things I need to do. Oh, Heather, don't forget, you got yourself to walk out that talk, even though your feet were sweating. Another moment, and Scott gave me this opportunity, was to interview Sarah Blakely, and my feet were sweating so bad, my shoe came off, and I almost face planted on that freaking stage. But I just kept it going, just keep it going. drop that expectation, remind yourself of what you've done before, and own who you are. Yes, I have sweaty feet. And you know what? I don't have a problem with it. I shine a light on that shame. I own it and I make it work for me. And the more we all start doing that, the less we feel we have to be so confident and have to be so impressive. We say, you know what, that quirkiness about me, that's what makes me unique. That's my UVP, my unique value proposition. And the more I rock that and own that, the more powerful I will be. So that was one thing that I wanted to answer there. The other was around the pandemic. And I touched on this. I was fired almost 4 years ago now. July 27th, it'll be my 4-year anniversary of getting fired. And I'll tell you, that moment and making the decision to go to work for myself and step into the scariest thing I had ever done is very parallel for me personally to the pandemic. As Scott mentioned, my speaking business was exploding, so much thanks to Scott, because he's helped me with opportunities that are unbelievable, priceless, and put me on the map. And the momentum was there. I was taking off. And then literally overnight, like many of you, my business disappeared. Here's what I did. I remembered getting fired. That was the first thing I said to myself. I said, pump the brakes. You've been here before. I remember the day I got fired and I thought I had lost everything. I thought it was over for me. And then I remembered that I gave a TEDx talk that got promoted, that I got hired at Harvard, that I got all these things that happened for me, right? And I didn't know any of those things were going to happen. I had to trust again in myself that, yes, it's super uncomfortable right now and you don't know what tomorrow holds. But if you show up as you and step into it and start taking massive action and betting on you and building momentum, you will figure it out. You got this. So one of the things I ask everyone on this call, if you don't know already when you are your most creative, for me, it's working out. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Do your best ideas come to you when you're working out? Some people it's meditating. Some people it's in your shower. For everyone, it could be going for a walk. I don't know, holding a baby, painting. So I jumped on the Peloton and I kept saying to myself over and over again, what problem can you solve from your home? What problem can you solve from your home? Because I needed to invent a new business, right? What problem can you solve from home? What problem can you solve? And I kept saying it as I was pedaling and sweating, and boom, it hit me. Jump off the bike. I went right to LinkedIn and I read the DMs. What were the main questions people asked me in the DMs? And I went through 1,000 messages. And the same questions kept showing up. Hey, do you ever consult businesses on revenue generation? Hey, do you ever offer coaching? Hey, do you ever coach people one-on-one? Do you have any group coaching programs? So speed to market is critical in any business, in my opinion, and in my career. I put a post up on LinkedIn. Hey, you asked, I answered. You've been wanting my executive coaching program. It launches next week, limited spots available. DM me if you want in now. And that coaching program sold out and I charged way too little and I worked way too hard. But over the last year, I've amended it, I've evolved it, I've changed it. And I built a unique business within a unique time where I could add value for people, charge what I was worth, make an income from home. And now I've been appointed to the board of directors of one of my random clients that I acquired during that time. My opportunity to teach at Harvard came from the same situation. So all of these doors opened up for me because I took action and decided I need to build a business with a problem that I can solve that I haven't built before that operates from a computer. I took a chance. I didn't know it was a multi-billion-dollar industry. I had no idea what I was doing or charging, but I figured if I offer 100% money back guarantee, I can get testimonials that people like my work, they support my work. I'll market that and leverage that for more business and higher ticket business moving forward.
So I think one of the things that's amazing about you is you just dive into the deep end of the pool. You did that when you were on the Elvis Duran show, and he said, obviously you're writing a book. I think you said, yeah, of course I am. Meanwhile, you hadn't even really thought of it. Which is incredible. Then you kind of found out this epiphany. You've been speaking your whole life, but not getting paid for it. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, wow, this is something you can get paid money for. And I think it's so admirable that you're always willing. You don't need to have all the answers. You'll just jump in and figure it out.
But Scott, the one thing I want to say to that point is I wasn't that way. Remember, for 20 plus years, I was sitting in corporate America in my safe zone, I didn't do it, but I got so freaking frustrated of beating my head against a wall and saying, why aren't I bringing my great ideas to life? Why am I sitting here working for someone when I know I have bigger ideas? I can do more. I was beating my head against a wall for a long time. And once I hit that breaking point, fired my villain, there was no looking back. I knew the one thing I regretted was sitting in that familiar zone too long, and I wasn't going to do it anymore.
Yep. So we're going to open it up to Q&A, but before we do, Heather has offered something incredible. So she has an online course called Confidence Creator, and she is going to give this away. This is $299 to the first person who answers this question. So you have to put it in the chat. So the question is, Heather has a top 100 podcast. Who was her first guest ever on her podcast? Wow, that was quick.
But I already saw it.
Holy moly. That was like somebody was prompt. Kyle, nice job. So Kyle, you are a happy winner. We'll grab your info and get you set up for the course, which is incredible. And if you haven't bought the book yet, Confidence Creator, this is an unbelievable book. Incredible. Bestseller. It just has done incredibly well. And the exciting news is that Heather has a follow-up book coming out in
November 9th of this year.
So super, super, super excited about that. So if you have a question, just say, I have a question in chat. You don't have to put what the question is, and we'll just call on you. So our first question is from Andrew in Oregon. So Andrew, fire away. Heather's all yours.
Well, thanks, Scott. Hey, I emailed them and I thought I could get away with this, blind and benign question asking. Hey, Heather, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're alluded to some routines and things that you might do on a regular basis. So tell me, what's your morning routine? It sounds like Peloton might be involved, but what's your get out of bed and get fired up and face the day routine?
Well, I'm a single mom, Andrew, so I think that's BS. If you are a single parent and you have a child living, whether it's in virtual or in real life, for me, it's like, it's not this, some people are like, oh, I meditate for 40 minutes. I take a freezing cold Wim Hof shower. I go for a workout with my trainer and then have my coffee. No, my morning is literally like, alarm, go, get up right now. I swear to God, don't do this again today. It's total chaos getting my kid to school and getting him situated. And then I'm pretty busy. I plan my day out the night before. So I always have, my schedule and I know what's happening. But I swear there is always so much craziness that happens in day. That part is never planned for me. I try to work out every single day. That is my saving grace. My workout saves me all the time. But where I am more routine is around when I go to do big things. I always write messages on the bottom of my shoes. I always listen to the same freaking playlist that I've been using for the past 3 years, which will not be changing. People want to get added on. You are not getting added on to playlists. Playlist is unstoppable. So I keep that playlist and I only use it when I'm doing big things. I write notes. I write notes everywhere and old school. Like, I don't use the computer. I know a lot of people like to do that, but I don't. I have this one. I was nervous to interview Ed Milet in January of last year. And I was at the Beverly Hills Hotel and I took the notepad out and I just wrote, just be you. And I wrote his note down and I keep that right next to me I was super nervous that day and he and I hit it off. He's a friend now. So I keep notes everywhere. Like I said, I write them in my shoes. I write them around my house. I really believe in the power of accessing your past experiences to leverage you and push you for that next one. And so it's just like, Scott's story with his event in New York when the poor lady passed out and that whole situation, that really set me up for success at that next event 2 days later. And I have so many, I've written so many of those notes down. By the way, writing things down makes it, 42% more likely that you'll actually execute on it, remember it, and put it into action. So I'm big into writing things down. I'm big into, moving your body. I'm big into leveraging music, and I leverage lavender. Those are kind of my 4 keys for anything big.
Awesome.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
We are going to Colorado, snowy Colorado. Scott Garber.
Ooh, Heather, man, I don't know about you guys, but I want to run through the screen right now. So thank you so much. This has fired me up. But I'm super curious. As someone that's found my voice through my journey, confidence is something that everyone's looking for. Really curious your thoughts on this fake it till you make it approach, where everyone wants to be there and they're not just quite, comfortable with who they are. What kind of advice would you lend them?
Scott, thank you for the positive feedback, by the way. That's so nice of you. It means so much, guys. And don't ever sell yourself short thinking it doesn't, whether it's to your child, a friend, or a speaker, anything. Everybody wants to hear, your thoughts and feedback. So thank you for taking the time to say that. It means the world to me. I would say that I have a chapter in my first book called Fake It Till You Make It. In corporate America, when I first made it to the C-suite, I had imposter syndrome, right? I thought, oh my God, if they find out that I really don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm gonna get fired. I ended up getting fired, not for that reason. But here's the thing is that I used to live under that veil of, oh God, I hope they don't know I grew up poor. I hope they don't know I don't have all the answers. I hope they don't know that I didn't go to Harvard and I couldn't get into Harvard. These were the ways that I used to think. What I've switched it to now is the only way you can ever be an imposter is if you deliberately choose to show up as someone other than yourself, which is like my powerful seismic shift in my mind. I remember I can't be an imposter. You can't if we show up as Scott and as Heather. So yes, sometimes I've had to fake it because I didn't have that foundation inside me of real confidence yet. So do I suggest it? If you need to fake it till you make it, then hell yeah, you do what works for you. Because confidence is not like, oh, you know what? I have strep throat. You need penicillin. No. That's one thing I've come to see. For me, I had to fire a negative person from my life, or I was never going to have that foundational strength. If I was still working in corporate America next to that lady that made disparaging comments to me and I allowed it to happen, guess what? I wouldn't be the most powerful version of me. So we all have to look at our own situations, try and test what works best for you. And if faking it till you make it works, go ahead. Beyonce has to get up on a stage and channel an alter ego that she calls Sasha Fierce to take the stage. And that woman is one of the top performers in the world. If it's working for her, I think it can work for you or me.
Drop the mic. Much appreciated.
Love it. Somebody, make sure everybody's on mute, please. We've got some background. Perfect. Our next question, we are going to Milan, Italy, and my buddy Giampaolo Grassi. If that doesn't look like a Giampaolo Grassi, I don't know what does.
It's fantastic. First of all, your pronunciation, my name is amazing. Trust me. So thank you so much, Heather. I love incredible. Your energy is fantastic. So you have to come in Italy, bring this energy over here.
I'm coming. Wait, I am coming. I'm coming in October 2022. I'm speaking at an event in Florence, Italy. So I'm going to see you then.
Wow, fantastic. My city. I was born there. So great. I want to read the quote and I want to discuss on that with you. Exceptional people like to retain their doubts because this is what gives them the energy to act rather than just react. So I would like to know from you, which is the importance and the difference between act versus react?
Hugely, right? So anytime that you're reacting to something that someone else says or does, you're giving them power over you. You're giving away your power. So that's something that took me a lifetime to learn. And I'll give you a quick story. A very successful friend of mine just got fired from a high profile legal career because a woman was jealous of her. Happens all the time. It's horrible. She got fired and she said to me, all right, what are we going to do? And I said, you need to take action. Let's map out a plan. Who's in your network you can contact? Who can we, let people know you're available. Let's create a list of the target companies you want to go after. She said, but can we sit around and talk about how we're going to kill this lady, how we're going to wreck her reputation? I said, hang on. You're going to give all of your power to that woman. I'd rather have us give all of your power to that new job instead of reacting to what she said to you. She agreed. She put a pin in the nasty lady. She got a better job. She got a new job, more money, way better opportunity for her. She came back to me and said, now can we go and, torment this lady and make it about how much we hate this lady? And I said, here's the thing. If you want to do that, you can. But what's going to happen is you're going to give her all of your power. Would you like to fire her up and give her all of your energy, all of your greatness? She said, well, hell no. I said, then you can't sit around thinking about her. You can't fixate on her. You can acknowledge the thought and you can say, I'm so grateful that that's not me and that's not the woman I am. And I'll tell you the epiphany that I had from that experience, which just happened, was I sometimes would give the woman that fired me negative energy in my mind because I was still pissed off about it. And sometimes teaching is what, the only way you get it for yourself. I had that conversation with her and I thought, I'm not going to react to this woman anymore. She's lost her power over me. I'm grateful for the opportunity she gave me and I'm moving on. So I'm all about act, don't react.
I love that.
Fantastic.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Love it. We are now going to, we actually could have a rap battle right now because Heather can rap a little bit and Jason in Florida can definitely rap. We've all seen him rap. So Jason, you're up.
Oh, love it. That would be fun. Heather, it's been awesome. I absolutely love what you're doing and your energy. So from my side, you mentioned as a single mom and just thinking about parenting and confidence, right? So there's obviously things you've talked about with, fire your villains and shine a light on shame and things that I'm sure you preach every day to your kids and they've heard it a lot. But what else could you give to us parents out there to, having a daughter of my own and a son, but, thinking about how, again, your energy, your positivity, what you've overcome and all that. I'd love to hear your thoughts there.
Jason, I love that question. And I'm actually asked that a lot, which surprised me. Okay. So the number one thing we can do as parents is model. And what I mean by that, I don't mean to shoot at Vogue, which that would be nice, but what I mean is that our kids are going to look to us. So I had a mom say to me, my daughter's struggling so much with her confidence, I don't know what to do. I said, let me ask you a question. How confident are you? She said, no, it's not about me. I said, I get it, but how confident are you? She said, well, I'm not very confident. My husband's a jerk. I'm overweight. She told me everything wrong in her life. And I said, let me hold up the mirror for you. That's who your daughter is learning from. Your daughter's modeling you, right? So I saw my son the other day in the mirror like this. And I'm like, oh God, he gets that from me. That's terrible. And I said, dude, enough. But he's modeling, he sees me. I am always want to check my makeup out, so we can't be shocked when our kids start showing up as little tiny versions of us, right? So he's also the one that taught me about writing on my shoes. There's a chapter in my book about that. He said, Mom, I'm not always my most confident and I need to remind myself when I need to pick myself up. So I learned a lot from him, but the biggest lesson that I've learned is how I show up ultimately will lead, and he'll model that behavior. So I really have to be not just preaching it, but living it. And it sucks sometimes. I do want to check my makeup, but now I realize I can't look in the mirror so much anymore, or I'm going to have a little diva boy.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll wrap later.
I'm up for it.
Absolutely. That would be great. We are going to Kyle in Iowa.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for being here today and bringing the energy.
Hi, Kyle. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, and Jason, I think my question is going to be pretty similar to his. So if this is just a repeat, let me know. But I was going to ask, what has your son specifically taught you about confidence? And he mentioned the writing on his shoes. So what else has your son taught you about being confident?
Oh my gosh, so much. I could go on forever. So Scott, keep me tight on this one. But all right, there's a couple of things that I want to share in this one. I was writing, I think I was writing my second book, and Sheryl Sandberg, maybe it was my first book, I don't remember anymore, but Sheryl Sandberg had just come out with a book, Plan B or Option B. And I had ordered it and it had just come in from one of my many packages from Amazon. Who's with me on that one? And I had it sitting on the table. Thank you, Rachel. I saw your hand. And so I had it sitting on the table and my son comes out and he says, what is that? And I'm sitting at the table writing my book. And I said, oh, this really famous, super successful woman wrote a new book, so mommy wants to read it. And he picked it up and he goes, no, you don't need a plan B. Your plan A is gonna work. Can I throw this away? And here, his conviction and belief in how much he, because for me, for a long time, it was, should I go back to corporate America? Should I keep trying to be an author, try to do this? That's been a real freaking battle for me. It's been hard and it's scary. And he's been there, he's seen it. So when he saw that plan B, he thought that I had something to figure out to go back to corporate America and give up on my dream. And he said, can I throw this book away? And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so terrible that I'm going to let my kid throw this away. But I have to show him that I believe in what he's saying and that I believe in him. And I said, throw that book away. And he got up and he took that book and he threw it in the trash right in front of me. And what he taught me in that moment, that he sometimes believes in me more than I believe in myself, which I'm so grateful for. But the other thing I taught him is, when you ask for something and you believe in your heart of hearts it's right, even though it might not be politically correct, we're still going to do it. Because you know what? It's about believing in each other and supporting each other.
Heather, truth be told, did you do a George Costanza with the eclair and take it out of the garbage?
No, had it been an eclair, I possibly would have gotten it later, but not for a book, no.
All right, we're going to Brian in Washington.
Hey, Heather, it's Brian. Question for you. How do you balance self-acceptance with achieving your goals and self-improvement?
You tell me more about that because I don't understand the question.
So one thing that can drive a lot of people to achieve great things in life is to say, I don't have what I want yet, right? Or I am not yet what I want to be. And so what I see in professional athletes and a lot of these very visible figures are people that have admitted behind the scenes that they're for a long time, they weren't really happy with themselves, right? Or where they're at. And that's actually what drove them to go achieve these things, was almost they weren't accepting themselves. And so I always ask high achievers, like, how do you feel this balance of being confident with what you've achieved so far, but also set yourself up to want to go achieve more than what you have, right? Whether that's results or how you feel about yourself.
You know what's so funny, and this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, it's super deep, so I hope this isn't taking us down a wrong road, is I made more money when I was in my early 20s than I have ever again in my career. I mean, a ridiculous amount of money. When I was an equity partner in my early 20s. And I had zero confidence back then, zero self-acceptance. I lived in shame. No one knew I grew up poor. I didn't tell anyone I had smelly, sweaty feet, right? Like I was such a shell of the person I am today. However, I was far more successful, which I keep racking my brain about, because to your point of like, can you really be successful if you aren't self-accepting? Yeah, you can. So here I am just to tell you, it proved, yeah, I was so driven back then, almost for running away from who I really was, Brian. Like I had that was the cover, right? I had to work so hard so that no one would know what was really inside of me. That drove me a lot. I'm still just as driven now, but I am way more self-accepting. I have this bigger picture belief that I am more powerful and more great doors will open for me and more great things will happen for me because I'm self-accepting. And I'm sure on the outside looking in, like Scott will say, that's already happening. But to me, it's not happening at that level financially, of course, right? Because listen, I love helping people. I love doing good in the world, but I love getting paid and buying new shoes too. I'm not gonna lie, right? So to me, it's like, I want both. I want to be self-accepting, powerful, and, financially set as well. So I believe in it. I'm just hoping that's all taking shape. So it's an amazing question.
Thanks, Heather.
Awesome. We are going to Doug, another Floridian.
Thank you so much. And Heather, thank you. It's been a real pleasure to echo everybody else's sentiments. It's like verbal caffeine to carry me through the rest of the day. It's fantastic. Seriously, fantastic. So the question is around this. There's a quote or a saying that I reference as I'm on my own sort of self-growth actualization journey, and it goes, falling in love with yourself first doesn't make you vain or selfish. It makes you indestructible. And I'm wondering how that saying or quote resonates with you in your journey.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. You'll have to please send it to Scott so he can give it to me, because I've never heard that before. And it's so articulate. It's so right. It's so on the money. Gosh, it's good. And it reminds me of bad relationships I've been in. I'll tell you, where I wasn't in love with myself. And when you're not in love with yourself, you don't show up. You're constantly putting yourself down or allowing yourself to be treated poorly. And other people aren't going to really be in love with that watered down version. So that's the first thing I think of when you were going to say something, you were going to add something.
No, I would prefer to send it to you directly than versus through Scott, but that's just whatever.
Anyone here can send me an email to heather@heathermonahan.com.
The genesis for my asking is because as I look within for me and apply that in my own life, it's like, I feel like it's selfish of me sometimes to put myself first. And it's taken years for me to get to this point where I'm realizing that if I don't feel like it serves me well, spiritually, emotionally, professionally, whatever it is, I have to say, no, I come first. And I don't know if it's in my hard wiring over all these years, because I have tended to in my life as an adult even to put people ahead of the line rather than me. And it's only in the last couple of years that I've said, no more. I'm putting myself at the head of the line.
You're amazing. And I totally agree with you. Putting yourself first is not selfish, it's selfless. Because the more you put yourself first, the more you have energy, creativity, and power within you to give and help the little person in the next room, to give back to the world, to inspire and elevate others. You can't do that when you're a watered down shell of yourself. It just doesn't work. So anytime you question that in yourself, wow, if I put myself first in this one, it could harm someone else. Hang on, I have to remember, when the airplane's going down and the oxygen mask drops, they tell you, put it on you first. And once you have your oxygen and once you are your strongest, go save the rest of the world. So keep that image in your mind. I hope that helps you.
Good stuff. Rachel in Maryland, my buddy Rachel, what's up?
Hey there, Heather. It's so nice to meet you. I've been following your work online for a while, and as a woman who also left a career of 13 years in corporate to launch my own business to speak full time, I did that 18 months ago, and then got hit by a pickup truck in the midst of COVID and fractured my back, and have a story to tell around I'm still standing. Lots of things. I love what I do. I know that I have a story to tell, and the reason why I wanted to ask you is because what I wanted to ask you about is just insight around how to, it's kind of like this I don't know, this thing that I'm stuck in a little bit of this desire to accelerate and elevate what I'm doing, because I know that the messages that I've delivered have been impactful for people. I mean, I've done 150 events in the past year, and I just love what I do. And held it back for so long growing up. And I also sing as part of what I do, and I love that as well. And I just see so much of what you're doing as, aspirational for me. And that really means a lot to see another woman that's just doing this and doing it so well and going after it. And so I guess my question is, knowing I have this rub between not wanting to force things to be before their time, because I know that can create kind of like this energy that I don't think generally leads to good things, and we're forcing things to happen, but also this desire and this knowing of, I know that I'm meant for more than I'm currently doing right now. And so just any thoughts or insight or advice or guidance you have on how to accelerate and elevate the work that I'm doing and desire to do as a speaker and as an influencer in that way, to just give people hope and to be refreshing to them.
I mean, Rachel, for you, it's got to be back to your why, right? The fact that you can help people with that story that you have, which is freaking remarkable, that needs to be told, that nobody else owns, you're depriving people by not forcing it. I've spent my entire life forcing everything. You think people wanted to make me a chief revenue officer in media? No, they didn't want a woman in there. Of course not. Do you think my agent wanted to sign me? She told me no 14 times. I don't go away. I'm freaking relentless. Okay. That's the difference maker. And I was actually looking at some stats for the class that I'm teaching. And it said that 92% of salespeople will not pitch a prospect 4 times. The majority of prospects, somebody's put their hand up that they know the stats. The majority, okay, it's Brian. the majority of prospects will not say yes until after 4 pitches. Now, to me, 4 is a joke. That's like, oh, that would be so easy. Literally, I pitched the founder of the company that I worked for, I don't even know how many times, a job that didn't exist because I knew I could see the company needed it. Everyone kept telling me I was crazy. I decided I am not going to take advice or direction from people who have not been where I'm going. I can solve a problem. It's on me to come up with a better pitch. I don't think like, oh, he's not giving it to me, I'm forcing it, I'm going to go home. Hell no. I'm like, how can I refine the pitch? How can I show the value? How can I show the ROI better? How can I get better? And 99% of the time that works. So I'm forcing you, Rachel, do it for the people out there that need your message. It's not fair not to push yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And one day, aspiration is to be on your podcast. That's one of my aspirations. I'm going to declare it right now.
I love that you're declaring that. I totally vibe with that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Heather, I'm curious. We're going to go to Eric in a second, but I think, one thing that I think people don't really know about you is that your work ethic is like second to none. You work your ass off. And how much of a role do you think that work ethic plays in being confident?
Yeah, that goes back to that question of competence versus confidence, right? And I don't get mired down in that a lot. Listen, work ethic is the difference maker. That's just my opinion. And the older I get, I'm on my first board right now, first board of directors. I'm starting to understand how real wealth is made, right? But you don't get offered the board seat until you have 25 years of expertise and experience, building companies and creating success. That's freaking hard work. So at the end of the day, you want to have these jobs that you make tons of money when you're sleeping and don't have to work hard for. But in order to position yourself for that, you either need to be born into a certain family, which I was not, or you need to go work your butt off and create that expertise and that unique value proposition within you. And then to Rachel, you need to leverage the hell out of it and get out there and market yourself and connect with people and ask for favors and do good for others to open those doors and make it happen. So listen, competence is critical. In some level of confidence, it definitely plays a role. And I mean, I'm all for it.
Eric Silverman, my boy in Baltimore.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Nice to meet you, Heather. I love it. My question is pretty quick. I don't know if Ed Milet is the first person to ever say this quote, but I did hear him say it. And I didn't hear him give credit, no big deal. But I've also heard it many times after. I've heard the quote, success leaves clues. My question for you though, success leaves clues. The question is, what about failure? Does failure leave clues? What's your impression of that? Because I truly believe that failure also, of course, leaves clues, but I don't hear that said ever.
Okay, first of all, I want to go ahead and support you on this. Ed Milet is not the originator of that quote. I love Ed, but no, he did not say it. And you know what's so funny? My new book, we actually brought on a team just to dive into quotes. Eric, you can't imagine what a big business it is finding out who actually originates these quotes. And there's only 3 websites that you can actually use that are validated. It's wiki quotes and it's crazy. So I'm super heightened alert to this right now, but I'm certain he did not say that originally. And I do love Ed. He's amazing. Okay. Does failure leave clues? I don't know. I really don't know, because then you have to be accepting failure, right? So I think back to my career, my life. What failures have I had? Like, I think getting divorced is a failure, but no, I wouldn't have had my son. So that's not really a failure, right? I stepped into who I was. I grew as a person and grew apart from, I can't say that's a failure. I look back at my career and I say getting fired was a failure. I should have left years earlier. But was it really? Would I have been ready to step into this version of myself? You know what? I get as sad as it is, I wasn't. So I don't think that is a failure. It was the catalyst I needed. Now I applaud it. I reframe it and I say, it's actually a great moment. So you have to really figure out what is failure. And that's something I really need to ask myself. I have to look at my life and say, what is failure? Failure is if you gave up on something that you still want, but you weren't willing to push yourself to go through that fear and go get it. That would be a failure to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's fair. And obviously, we always hear people say, learn from your mistakes, learn from your failures. So that's why I wanted your opinion. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
This may have been the fastest hour in history because it seems like it went by in like 5 minutes. You are off the charts. Where can people find out more about you? Obviously, LinkedIn, but what other places can people find out more about you?
I'm everywhere at Heather Monahan, and my website is heathermonahan.com. My first book is Confidence Creator. My new book, which you can pre-order now, is Overcome Your Villains with HarperCollins Leadership. You can sign up for my course at Harvard, Professional Selling and Sales Leadership, and check out my TEDx talk and everything else, Heather Monahan at heathermonahan.com.
Wait a second. I didn't know about the Harvard course. You can sign up for that?
You can apply for it. Yeah, we have one of my students this semester is from Dell, and he just applied and got in. And it's just been, yeah, you can apply for postgraduate classes at Harvard.
Love it. Love it. You are amazing. I know on behalf of everybody in the Talent Champions Council, like, we cannot thank you enough for spending an hour of your time. I know how valuable that is. I know how busy you are. And this was off the charts amazing. So everybody got a lot smarter today and a lot better. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, I'm eternally indebted to you. Would do anything for you. You know that. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Heather. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. We are